Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Banishing the Doubt, Living Your Best Life Now. Today's episode I want to title Trusting in That Inner Voice. Trust in that inner voice. You may have seen, I think it's one of the best movies of all time called Braveheart. You may have seen it. If you haven't, it's a great movie to see, to go watch. It's a long movie, but it's a tremendous movie. In the early stages of the movie, Mel Gibson's character is a young boy whose father is dying because he just came back from battle. So the whole premise of the movie is Scotland, the country of Scotland, is trying to get his freedom from England. His dad is laying on his deathbed, and he looks over at his young son, who could probably be maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. And he says to him, if you can see this, your heart is free. Have the courage to follow it. That part always gets to me because it's so true. Our hearts are free. They're clouded. They're clouded by our perceptions. They're clouded by our conditionings, the conditions of the outside world. We lose the courage to follow it. I can remember when I was a young man, around 21 years old. See it very vividly in my mind today. This my subconscious still has that image in my mind. Standing on Mrs. Bon Giovanni's lawn. I just finished cutting it. And I had just started a landscaping business at the time. I was 21 years old, and in my mind, I started a business. Standing there, looking at her lawn, and I had this feeling come up inside of me saying, yes, this is what I love doing. However, I lost the courage to follow in that decision. Self-doubt started to creep in. Okay. Conditioning from society, conditioning from my upbringing. I'm not blaming my parents by any stretch, but I didn't have parents who were aware at the time to say to me, hey, if this is what you love doing, follow your heart. If your heart is telling you, if your heart is saying you have the courage to follow it, or is telling you this is what you love doing, have the courage to follow it. So I was too much in the what ifs. Yeah, but what if it doesn't work out? Yeah, but these other guys, their businesses are much bigger than mine, whatever it may be. And soon thereafter, a young man, he decided, who had a business, was deciding to get out and follow another path in his life. And through the connections, I ended up buying his business. I remember at the time, it was $2,000 to buy his accounts. And I went looking, and I sought after a couple of different people. The one person who I very much looked up to told me, no, I'm not going to give you the money. It wasn't that they weren't going to give me the money. They just didn't trust in the fact that I had that mindset. Another person who was very well off said years later, or at least I found out years later, said, sure, I would have done it. I would have given, absolutely. I would have invested in his business. His mindset was different. It was more of a free mindset. Go ahead, do it. Invest in the business. Okay. The other one was a little more closed, but in any event, the rejection sort of further cemented my beliefs in the time, my perceptions that I don't have what it takes. This is a pipe dream. It's not going to work out. And of course, it never did, because my mindset at the time. Okay, I wasn't trusting. Like I mentioned in the past, the ego wants to have us, keep us in a box. So go outside your comfort zone. Okay, don't have the courage to follow your heart. Okay, so we learn through becoming more introspective and learning to trust that voice inside of us, those feelings that we get. So we want to have to kind of reverse engineer the conditioning, the programs that have been conditioned inside of us since our birth. We're told as little children, we just sort of follow this plan, right? Go to school. We go from nursery school to kindergarten. Then we go from kindergarten to grade school. It's always tomorrow. Then we go from grade school on up through junior high school, and then we go into high school. And then at that point, we sort of splinter off, right? Some of us continue on through college, others follow a different path. And then we get to graduate. Let's say we graduate from college, right? The commencement. Now you go out and you venture into the world. But is that really what your true calling is? Is that really, are you following your heart? Are you following the feeling inside of you that says, yes, I love doing this? I will wake up tomorrow morning, and if suddenly there's $20 million just sort of appear in my bank account, no strings attached, and I was told, you know what? Or you were told, no, that's yours. This money is yours. You're taken care of. Your family's taken care of. Ask yourself, would you go to work? Would you continue doing what you're doing? How many people, hell no, I'm gone. See ya. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call my boss and tell him off, maybe, or whatever, making sure that the money's there, and I'm guaranteed that it's not going to go anywhere. It's mine. I can spend it any which way I want. How many people would say, screw that, I'm out of here? They're not living freely. They're not following their heart because their heart has been calling them somewhere else. They are ignoring that. So what my desire is with these videos is to enlighten you and myself as well, understanding that it's not the outside world. The outside world is just a reflection of our inner world. There's a great book. Neville Neville Goddard, Feeling is the Secret. I'm finding that the smaller the books, the more powerful they are. As a Man Thinketh. These books were written years and years and years ago, but they're still very, very applicable today. He says here, right in the very first chapter, first sentence, the world and all within it is our conditioned consciousness objectified. So right there, first sentence, first chapter, page, what page this is, okay? The conscious is personal. The conscious mind is personal. Our subconscious mind is impersonal. Our conscious is personal and selective. Our subconscious is impersonal and non-selective. So the non-selective is mine is mine. What we feel, what we feel inside is truly who we are. The subconscious mind, it takes all of our everything that happened to us, all of our internal thoughts, and it stores it into like a giant filing cabinet. Okay, and we go and we pick out of those files every so often. Somebody cuts us off on the highway. Somebody says something at work. Okay, and then we go back into that filing cabinet and we pull out that emotion, and we just sort of like get into a zone, right? How many of us have been in there? And it's just laser like focus on that. And then what do we do? Well, normally we go and talk to people about it, right? And what do they say? Oh yeah, you're right. And yeah, oh yeah, I can't believe they did that. Most times, if you really start to stand back and look, you'll notice that if you're talking to somebody about what happened to you, 99.9999999% of the time, they're thinking about how that relates to them. They're not thinking about what it means to you. How does that relate to them? Because why? They're operating on the same frequency. See, our lives, guys, is like a radio frequency. For any of you old enough to remember AM radio, our lives are like the dial. Okay, we tune to the frequency, and the frequency, once we adjust it to the right frequency, what we're conditioned to believe is true. Suddenly, we feel comfortable. We feel familiar. That's why stepping out and following our heart sometimes feels a little scary because it's not the same frequency. We're adjusting the dial. We're adjusting our life, and it feels scary. We feel like we don't have the courage, but we want to be able to let go of that feeling of I can't, or it may not work out, and trust that it will. Trust in that inner voice within inside of us. Understand it's just the ego wanting to keeping us inside this box of familiarity. Okay. In the book Three Magic Words by U.S. Anderson, he says conceptual habits of the conscious mind are the greatest bar to our discovery of ourselves. As you guys start to delve into this more, as you start to read the books and watch the videos and get more and more in tune with this, you're going to start understanding there's a certain, almost like a vein, if you will. It's the same type of messaging, just sort of splintered off into different ways of expressing the same message, which is there is a universal mind. There's your mind, there's my mind, there's a subconscious, and there's the overarching universal mind. It's impersonal. Whatever we say in the moment is what it brings to us. So therefore, and I'm beginning to believe more and more we live in a parallel universe. Whatever it is we desire to have is already here, guys. It's already here. We don't chase after it, okay? We don't grind. We don't crush, okay? That's conditioning. Okay, we're conditioned to learn we have to go out and grind for it. We have to crush it. We're crushing our competitor. We're crushing whatever it may be. That's a conditioned way of living. In reality, true reality, we choose what we want. We think about it. We trust in that it's coming to us, and then we get out of the way of it. Get out of the way of it. Meaning, if you're like, and I was in, or I still am in real estate sales. Okay, you have to go out and look for leads. You know what? In theory, really, you don't. You just you put yourself out there. Hey, by the way, I'm in real estate. The leads will organically come to you. Okay, people who are supposed to show up in your life will magically show up. If real estate is your truest calling, the people are going to show up. If they can't not, it's law. Okay, if whatever it is that you feel as though this is your true calling, that you it's a feeling inside of you that nobody else can influence, or nobody else can really understand more than you can. You just know it, and the people show up, the circumstances show up, the serendipities show up. The subconscious mind does exactly what the conscious mind tells it to do. So my message for you guys today is to learn to trust, learn to identify with and listen to that voice, that little voice inside of you. It's been there. It's that little child inside of you. It's been there since birth. We've covered it over. We've shut it out. Yeah, but what ifs? My story with the landscaping, man, this is not going to work out. Subconscious mind says, that's it. You're exactly right. It's not going to work out. We're going to give you more reasons as to why it's not going to work out. You're going to ask that person for a loan instead of that person. You see what I'm saying? So this is my message. As always, feel free to comment down below, share this message. My passion is to get these messages out to as many people as possible. Like the videos, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can and others can get these videos. Have a wonderful day, guys. All the best to you. God bless. And may you understand and learn that it's all about trusting that inner voice inside of you. And when you do, your life will change. Guaranteed, I promise it. Have a great day.